So another important consideration when we discuss or when we talk about merchandising concern is the transportation cost. So it is common na kumpanya pag nag-purchase sila ng items, no? So merong magagastos related to transportation cost. Now let us familiarize these two terms here mentioned. So freight in, no? Pag sinasabi natin freight in or transportation in, ibig sabihin nito class, ang buyer ang nag-shoulder sa transportation cost ng goods na binili niya. So kung ganun ang setup, if this is freight in or transportation in, so take note that this is an adjunct account, so which means that it shall be added to the purchases, no, in computing for your net purchases. So freight in shall be added. So part niya ng cost. Now for freight out, ito naman yung expense, no, or operating expense ng seller. If in case the shipment or the transportation cost is shouldered by the seller, so it will form part ng operating expenses ng entity. Okay? Now, another important thing na kapag nag-discuss tayo ng transportation class or transportation cost is yung mga shipping terms na. So when we discuss shipping terms, ito yung mga shipping terms, nandito sila. So ano ba yung importance ng mga shipping terms na to? So these shipping terms are important for us to identify kung sino ba yung rightful owner ng goods in transit. Kasi magkakaproblema tayo na, like for example, nag-cut off na December 31, yet meron pang goods which are still in transit. So ibig sabihin may mga goods pa na on the way pa, hindi pa dumating sa kanilang destination. So there is now a question, sino ba ang rightful owner ng goods na yun, no? Yung mga goods that are still on their way para or hindi pa dumating doon sa kanilang destination. So we have here the freight terms. So first you have FOB shipping point and the other one FOB destination. So meron ding tinatawag na freight collect tsaka freight prepaid. So let's discuss ano ba yung mga transportation cost or transportation or freight terms, mga shipping terms na ito, and ano yung mga relevance nila. So let's discuss the significance or the relevance of shipping terms in terms of accounting for merchandise inventory and the recognition or accounting for transportation cost. So shipping terms is significant or will have an impact on when or who are going to record the merchandise inventory. So as you know class na kapag ang goods are still in transit, parang malilito tayo kung sino ba dapat ang mag-record ng goods na yun while they are still in transit. So with that, shipping terms can help us identify kung sino ba ang rightful owner ng goods while they are still in transit. So this two terms here, the FOB shipping point and FOB destination, will tell us who is the owner of the goods in transit. Now, because these two terms here will tell us kung kailan ba na-transfer yung ownership from the seller to the buyer. By the way, pag sinabi nating FOB, that is free on board. So, start muna tayo dito sa FOB shipping point. So, pag sinabi nating FOB shipping point class, ibig sabihin nun the title or the ownership of the goods passes from the seller to the buyer at the point of shipment. So, for example, ang seller is from Cebu and the buyer is from Butuan. So itong si buyer ng order sa supplier or seller which is based sa Cebu. Now, of course, the seller will be shipping out the goods ordered by the buyer. So say for example, it is through kanang sea vessel, so example ang barko. So now pag ang shipping term ay FOB destination, so the moment that the seller delivers the goods sa pier and load it in the carrier, so in our example ang barko, so ang ownership class ng goods is already transferred from the seller to the buyer. So ibig sabihin, when the goods are in transit, they are already owned by the buyer, because at the point of shipment pa lang, the ownership already transferred from the seller to the buyer. So doon pa lang sa pier ng Cebu, pag-load ng goods doon sa carrier or doon sa barko, then there is already a transfer of ownership. So from the seller to the buyer. So that sa example, this particular goods are still in transit as of the cut-off period. So sa example, December 31 na lang, hindi pa dumating yung in-order ni buyer na goods. So ang question ngayon, sino na ang magre-report? So sino ang magre-record nung mga goods na still in transit? So the answer is, kung sino yung owner ng goods in transit, sila dapat ang mag-recognize ng merchandise inventory. So in this case, since the term is FOB shipping point, so ibig sabihin kahit pa hindi dumating or hindi pa dumating ang goods sa premises ng buyer, so dapat si buyer i-include na niya i-include na niya yung goods in transit sa kanyang merchandise inventory end. Kasi nga, the buyer already owns it. Now, pag FOB destination naman, sino ba ang owner ng goods in transit? So, dito naman sa FOB destination, the ownership of the goods will be transferred only from the seller to the buyer when the goods reached its destination. So, pag dating doon sa Butuan, that's the only time that you can say that the goods are already, or the ownership of the goods are already transferred or is already transferred from the seller to the buyer. So, dito, while the goods are still in transit, ang owner pa ay ang seller. So, ibig sabihin, whatever happens to the goods while they are still in transit, like for example, yung barko na lunod, so the loss shall be incurred by the seller kasi siya pa naman ang owner ng goods in transit. So, in the same manner, that since FOB destination, itong si seller dapat, i-report niya, i-include niya sa kanyang merchandise inventory lahat ng goods na in transit which are shipped at FOB destination. Meaning, if the goods are shipped, FOB destination yung term, then the seller should include it kapag hindi pa dumating or naka-reach ng destination ang goods na kanyang kanyang ipinadala doon sa buyer. Okay, so that's the first thing, yung dito sa shipping term, malalaman natin kung sino ba dapat ang mag-record ng merchandise inventory. So, ang general na concept is that kung sino yung owner, of course, siya yung mag-record ng inventory at the end. Now, punta naman tayo doon sa transportation cost. So, sino ba dapat ang magbayad, no, ng transportation cost? Who should pay, no, for the transportation cost? So, that question also can be answered with these shipping terms here, FOB shipping point and FOB destination. So, basically, class, kung sino ang owner ng goods in transit, sila dapat yung magbayad ng transportation cost. So, example, no, if the term is FOB shipping point, of course, since yung owner ay ang buyer, so dapat siya rin ang magbayad, no, or mag-shoulder ng transportation cost. Now, pag FOB destination naman, since yung seller, yung owner ng goods in transit, so ibig sabihin dapat si seller din ang report or mag-shoulder, no? Si seller ang mag-shoulder ng transportation cost, no? So that's why ang label dito, who should pay, no? Who should pay? So sino dapat ang nagbayad? So pag FOB shipping point, dapat ang nagbayad ay si buyer. Pag FOB destination naman, dapat ang nagbayad ay si seller. Now, if ikaw ang buyer, tapos FOB shipping point yan, so ibig sabihin, class, no, you shoulder the transportation cost and you're going to record it as freight in. So, as we have previously discussed, freight in is an adjunct account, no? So, it will be added as part of the cost of your goods na pambebenta, no? So, freight in or transportation in, so they are added as part of the cost of your merchandise inventory. Now, kapag seller naman ang nag-shoulder, no, ng transportation cost, i-record niya yan as freight out. So, ano bang kaibahan ng freight in tsaka freight out? So, pag freight out, this is actually no, classified as an operating expense. So, part siya ng operating expenses as compared, no, doon sa freight in, which is part of the cost of your merchandise inventory. So, yan, no? So, again, basically, sino dapat ang nagbayad or magbayad? Who should pay or who should shoulder the transportation cost? It should be the owner of the goods while they are still in transit. Now, let us proceed to the other terms na itong freight collect tsaka freight prepaid. So, ito namang two shipping terms na to, this will tell us, no, who actually paid for the transportation cost. So, sino ba ang nagbayad? So, ito, who should pay, meaning who should shoulder the transportation cost? Sino ang obliged, no? Sino ba dapat ang nagbayad? So, dito sa shipping terms naman na freight collect at freight prepaid, no, this will give us the idea kung sino ba ang actual na nagbayad ng transportation cost. So, pag sinabi nating freight collect, so, ibig sabihin, pinapakolekta, no, ng seller doon sa buyer ang payment ng shipping cost. So, ibig sabihin, pag freight collect, it is the buyer who actually paid, no, for the transportation cost. Pag freight prepaid naman, so, ibig sabihin, before pa, no, shinip yung goods, the seller already paid in advance, no, the transportation cost. So, that's why, so, pag freight prepaid, ang nagbayad ng transportation cost ay ang seller. So, just take note, no, that it is possible na FOB shipping point, pero freight collect. So, in that case, no, wala sigurong problema. Ang nagbayad, si buyer niya ang dapat magbayad kasi buyer pod. So, ibig sabihin, walang dagdag na utang, no, si buyer doon sa seller niya. Kasi, ang transportation cost na siya dapat ang nagbayad ay siya talaga ang nagbayad, no, for the transportation cost. Pwede rin namang FOB shipping point pero freight prepaid. So that's another case. Or FOB destination na freight collect or FOB destination na freight prepaid. So there are 4 possible, no, cases or scenarios here. So isa-isahin natin sila. So let us use this illustration or problem, no. Here the company purchased a merchandise and the list price is 120,000. The freight is 6,000. That's 2 over 15 or 215 and 45 or net of 45 days. So the transaction date is July 31, 2020. The seller provides a 10% this trade discount, and the account was paid on August 10, 2020. So the question is here is how much is the amount paid to the supplier. Now, in this particular case, so siguro ang una nating gawin ay, since ang question naman is magkano ba dapat ang amount na binayaran ng buyer kay supplier. So for us to compute that one, we'll start of course with our list price, which is 120,000. So we have 120,000. Then next is apply natin yung trade discount. So the trade discount is 10% of the list price. So 10% of the list price, so that's 12,000. So the invoice price natin ay 108,000. Now, since nakabayad siya noong August 10 and the invoice date is July 31, so ibig sabihin pasok pa yun doon sa discount period na 15 days. So, mabibigyan ng discount or cash discount na specifically ang customer amounting to how much? Now, that's 2% of your invoice price. So, that's 2,160 pesos. So, the amount paid by the buyer to the seller is only 105,840. So, again, take note in this case, FOB shipping point, freight collect. So, sino dapat ang magbayad? Dapat ang magbayad ay ang buyer. Sino ang actual na nagbayad? Ang buyer din. So, meaning, wala tayong problema as to recording this particular transportation cost or in accounting for the transportation cost. Kasi, ang dapat magbayad ay siya talaga yung actual na nagbayad. Okay? So, we'll try to record transactions pertaining to the seller and the buyer with this particular information. So, una is, of course, to recognize your sales. In the point of view of the seller, the first thing that you have to do is you are going to record your sales, of course. So, if you have noticed here, the accounts receivable is your debit, and then your credit is your sales, and the amount used is the invoice price, which is 108,000. So, sa point of view ng buyer naman, if you're using periodic inventory system with debit purchases and credit accounts payable. So, since this particular case, it is the buyer who paid actually the shipping cost or shipping fees. So, with that, tapos FOB shipping point siya. So, magre-recognize tayo ng freight in. So, the amount of the freight in is 6,000 pesos. And then, of course, we are going to credit cash for this. Kasi siya yung nagbayad. So, the amount is 6,000. Okay? So, the next thing is, of course, doon na tayo sa collection. So, kano yung collection? The total amount collected na based on our computation is 105,840. So, what you're going to do is you simply debit cash with that amount, 105,840. And then, let's debit a sales discount for the cash discount availed by the buyer. So, that's 2,160. So, a total of 108,000. So, yung credit natin is accounts receivable. So, accounts receivable. Okay, so the amount is 108,000. So, at this point, your accounts receivable is already closed. So, what else? So, what if you are the buyer? So, ano yung entry natin? So, dito, magde-debit tayo ng accounts payable. So, the amount is 108,000. And then, what's the next one? So, since naka-avail tayo ng discount, so you're going to record purchase discount na. So, you just credit purchase discount. So, the amount of the purchase discount is 2,160,000. And then, of course, yung binayaran ay 105,840. So, this will be cash in your credit. So, that's how you record transactions under periodic inventory system. So, for case 2, we have here naman FOB shipping point pero freight prepaid. So, ibig sabihin ang mag-shoulder dapat ng transportation cost ay ang buyer. Kaso lang, binayaran na ni seller. So, ito yung ating computation. So, mag-start tayo with the list price, then the trade discount of 10%. So, your invoice price is 108,000. And then, of course, meron tayong discount na 2% kasi it was paid within the discount period. So, yung total amount natin ay 105,840. Now, since dito, in this case, nagbayad na ang seller ng transportation cost. But, dapat, it is the seller, or should I say the buyer, it should be the buyer who should pay for the transportation cost kasi ang shipping term ay FOB shipping point. So, what we are going to do is we are going to add up, kano ba yung freight na nabayaran ni seller, para kay buyer. So, that's 6,000. So, magkano yung total na i-recognize, or i-report as amount paid by the buyer, to the seller. So, the amount is 111,840. So, kung gawa natin ang entry yan, so, ganito yung entry, same lang, except that, of course, here, after the sale, after the sales, of the seller and the purchases of the buyer, the next thing that you're going to do is, of course, you record, yung binayaran ni seller na transportation para or in behalf of the buyer. So, ang gagawin lang ni seller, magdadagdag siya ng accounts receivable. So, the amount is 6,000. And then, credit siya ng cash. Kasi this is just an accommodation, for the buyer. Now, pag siya ay nakakolekta na, so, magde-debit tayo ng ito na as computed, 111,840. So, meron tayong sales discount na 2,160. Tapos, yung total receivable natin ay 108,000 plus 6,000. So, that's a total of 114,000, no? So, that's the same, no? That's balance. So, ganito yung entry natin sa point of view ng seller, no? As regard to this particular case, no? Na FOB shipping point, pero binayaran na in advance ni seller ang transportation cost. So, sa point of view naman ni buyer, so, ang purchases, okay na ito. So, dito naman, ang freight in natin, of course, no? Kasi, i-report natin yan kasi tayo naman yung mag-shoulder talaga ng shipping cost since this is FOB shipping point. So, kaso lang, of course, wala tayong binayaran ng cash. So, we'll just credit accounts payable kasi somebody paid it for us. So, specifically the seller. So, you credit accounts payable. So, the amount is 6,000. So, pag nagbayad na nakabayad na. So, magkano lahat ang accounts payable? That's 108,000 plus 6,000. So, that's 114,000. And your purchase discount is 2,160. And of course, your cash would be 111,840. So, that will be your entry sa ating case number 2. So, let's proceed to case 3. For case 3 naman, so FOB destination, so dapat ang magbabayad ay or mag-shoulder, no, ng transportation cost ay si seller. Sino ba ang nagbayad? Ang nagbayad ay si buyer kasi freight collect. So, ibig sabihin, no, merong binayaran si buyer on behalf of the seller. So, paano ba natin i-compute yung amount na binayad ng buyer kay seller? So, unang-una, nag-start tayo with the list price. Then, yung trade discount natin, again, ay 10%. Okay, so that's 12,000. So, ang ating invoice price is 108,000. Ang purchase discount natin, no, we assume na, or hindi ni-assume, no, based on the problem, makaka-avail pa tayo since within the 15 days pa na discount period. So, deduct lang natin. Okay. Now, what happened to the freight, no? So, the freight is paid by the buyer para kay seller. So, the amount is 6,000. So, si buyer may utang kang seller na 105,840. So, ngayon naman, si seller may pagkakautang din kay buyer amounting to 6,000 para sa freight or shipping cost. So, that 6,000 will be deducted here para ang isasauli na lang or ang ibibigay na lang na amount, no, to the seller is 99,840 na lang. Kasi that represents the amount na net already of the obligation also of the seller, no, to this particular transaction. So, if you are going to check on the entries, so of course, no, this one is the same. So, again, no, this is just the same entry na would be applicable. Now, for the freight out, or for the freight, no, or the transportation cost. So, since the shipping term is FOB destination, and then freight collect. So, ibig sabihin, ang dapat magbayad ay si seller. Kaso lang, diba, freight collect. So, it was paid by the buyer. So, ang gagawin, no, mag-record tayo ng freight out, no, para ma-recognize yung operating expense ng seller. And then, mag-credit na lang tayo ng accounts receivable. So, bale yung utang, no, ng buyer sa atin, i-reduce na lang natin by 6,000. So, in the point of view of the buyer naman, so, yung accounts payable na sinet up niya, i-reduce natin by 6,000 and then mag-credit tayo ng cash. Kasi, binayaran natin yung transportation cost na dapat sana si seller yung nagbayad. So, i-offset na lang natin doon sa kanyang or sa accounts payable natin para kay seller. Then, lastly, upon collection, so ito, based on the computations here, mag-recognize tayo ng cash no as debit. Then, sales discount na debit, 2,160. And then, lastly would be the accounts receivable. Credit na 102,000. That is, your 108,000 minus your 6,000. The same thing with the buyer na point of view. No, we debit accounts payable. So, accounts payable natin is 108,000 minus 6,000. So, meron ka na lang 102,000. Then, we credit purchase discount at 2,160. Then, cash at 99,840. So, that is case 3, no? Na FOB destination yung shipping term tsaka freight collect. So, last would be itong case 4 wherein the shipping term is FOB destination tapos freight prepaid. So, sino dapat ang magbayad? Ang dapat mag-shoulder or magbayad ng shipping cost shall be the seller kasi FOB destination. Sino ang actual na nagbayad? So, since freight prepaid ito, ibig sabihin, binayaran din ng seller. So, walang additional no, na receivable or walang deductible or deduction doon sa ating receivable or payable. So, the list price is 120,000. So, we apply the 10%. Na 120,000. So, we apply the 10% trade discount. So, this is your invoice price. Then, the 2% purchase discount. So, 12,000 is a trade discount. This one is a purchase discount. So, the amount paid no, by the buyer to the seller is 105,840. So, ano ba yung mga entries natin? No? Ano yung mga journal entries natin in relation to this particular transaction? So, these are our entries, no? Or these are our entries. So, una, ito is related to the sales, na recognition of the sales and purchases on the part naman of the buyer. Now, next is mag-report tayo ng freight out sa point of view ni seller. Kasi diba, FOB destination, tapos freight prepaid. So, ibig sabihin, i-report niya as freight out yung 6,000. At the same time, kasi siya yung nagbayad, magka-cash out lang tayo ng 6,000. So, on the point of view of the buyer, wala siyang entry related to that. So, sa collection, so mag-debit lang tayo ng cash based on the computation. It's 105,840. Sales discount na 2,160 and accounts receivable na credit na 108,000. So, the same also with the buyer's point of view. Magde-debit lang tayo ng accounts payable based on sa na-set up. And then, we credit purchase discount na 2,160 and credit cash 105,840. So, no, that's all no for the transportation cost